Okay, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to another episode of Martin Talks. This is episode 16, and for today's holiday movie that I'm reviewing for today, it's none other than Disney's 1994 live-action holiday classic, The Santa Claus. And I have two versions of this. This first tape is the 1995 VHS. And it says, destined to become a holiday classic as stated by the New York Post on the front. You have the spine, the top, and the upper spine, and the back. And it says, wonderful, good family fun is stated by Jeffrey Lyons of ABC TV. And the film is about 97 minutes long. And we know this film, it stars Tim Allen as a man named Scott Calvin. I'll explain more in a bit. As you see, we have the tape with the ink label. It's rated PG. And the print date is September 14th, 1995, just 3 days before my father's birthday and 10 days before Nick William 89's birthday. But anyways, this tape of the Santa Claus is good. But that's not the only tape I have. I also have this VHS of the Santa Claus in a Clamshell, which the Chris8488, aka Chris Fortin, gave to me when he visited this house in August. This was the other Disney Christmas tape that he got. Also, I want to mention that the Santa Claus is also Chris Fortin's all-time favorite Disney Christmas movie ever, since he probably loves Tim Allen. And I know and this tape, it says the original family smash hit. And I also know there's a DVD counterpart, which Mr. Johnny V 1993 has. I don't have that DVD counterpart yet, but I might get that soon. Anyways, Spine. It's a Walt Disney Home Entertainment release. It's from the 2000s. And has the same critic review as on the 95 tape. Same running time here. And this also has a Canadian VHS rating too, since it's so yeah. And anyways, here's the tape. It has a blue lid and, again, an ink label. And the print date is December 15th, 2004, just 10 days before Christmas. Although this is obviously a reprint because this tape originally came out back in 2002, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I think so. But anyways, I have done a comparison video of two different VHS versions of the Santa Claus, which I did back at the beginning of September. But anyways, this tape is good, and now I'm going to explain the plot. As I said, Tim Allen plays a man named Scott Calvin, and it also has Eric Lloyd playing Scott's son Charlie. Of course, it begins with Calvin at a Christmas party, and then after the party is over, he then returns home to see Charlie. Of course, along the way, we hear the carolers sing Carol of the Bells. Oh, with the hark of the bells, ring the bells, all seem to say, broke yes away, and so on. If you know that carol, how that carol goes. I don't need to sing all of it, but it's a traditional. But when he returns home, we do see home. We know first, Scott then later tries to prepare a little Christmas turkey dinner at home, but it ends up failing. Of course, they do see a little bit of a preparation of a Christmas turkey dinner on television while you hear the Drifters version of White Christmas in the background. Now, the Drifters version of White Christmas is extremely popular because that's the one with the doot 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 doot. As if you hear it, it gets radio airplay a lot. This is not the only holiday movie to use the Drifters version of White Christmas because it was also used in the first Home Alone film as well, which I will review that soon. But anyways, for the Santa Claus, when the dinner doesn't turn out as planned, then Scott and Charlie end up going out. They first end up trying to go past an Italian restaurant, but they find out that the trattoria is closed for Christmas. So they end up going someplace else, and they end up going to Denny's, which is, Denny's exists in our area, is a popular chain restaurant around the U.S., and there's one thing about Denny's, because just like Tim Allen said, it's always open, in which in reality, it is always open, because Denny's, as you all know, Denny's is a chain restaurant that operates 24 hours a day non-stop. So you could even go there even when it's late at night, since they have a dusk till dawn menu. So yeah. But anyway, after having a little meal at Denny's, then, of course, then later one night while Scott is asleep, Charlie wakes Scott up and he notices that some sleigh has arrived, and of course, a Santa Claus has fallen off the roof, and someone dies, but then he leaves a suit behind, and with that, Scott Calvin ends up putting on the Santa suit, and then Charlie climbs in the sleigh. Of course, Scott asks Charlie to get out, but then Scott ends up going in, and they end up starting to fly. And they visit a couple houses. The first house does have a chimney and fireplace, but the second house they visit doesn't have a chimney or fireplace, but he's able to get in the second house because he goes through some piping. It causes the magically thing radiator to turn into a big fireplace. A girl says, "Santa?" Which Scott says, "I am not Santa. You want this doll or not?" And I go to sleep and all this, but that's okay. But then after that, you go out, and then they later start to continue flying. Of course, someone sees them, and then Scott says to the person, "If we go straight on this road, do we hit I-94? But anyways, after that it later becomes, and then the next morning he does wish Charlie a good morning, and then they start to continue flying. But then finally they somehow realize that a magical place, and they finally arrive at the North Pole, where they suddenly see a bunch of elves. There's one elf, which I can't remember his name, but he appears in the second and third films too, since he has a major role in those as well as in this one. But also when they're at the North Pole, they also meet one of the head elves when they meet Bernard, which the actor that plays Bernard, he also was on the CBS show. Of course, Bernard does appear in the second film, but he does not appear in the third one. But anyways, then Scott starts to spend more time at the North Pole, and while he's at the North Pole, he learns more of the reindeer, and of course, he later then starts gaining weight. A little bit magically gaining weight, and as he gets weight, he also starts to grow a beard and mustache. It grows longer, and it starts to grow a little bit longer, and then becomes fully white, and in the end, even though I can't really say all of the much, in the end of the film, Scott Calvin finally becomes Santa Claus. And with that, he likes it so much of being Santa, he decides to stay at the North Pole for a long time and come to the houses only on Christmas Eve, and even Scott's son Charlie is even happy about that. So, and it's pretty good. After all, The Santa Claus is a very good Disney movie. I know I'm not going to review the sequel, the success of this later review also caused us 2 sequels with The Santa Claus 2 in 2002 and The Santa Claus 3 in 2006. I have both of those sequels on DVD, but I'm not going to review The Santa Claus 2 nor The Santa Claus 3 just because I only want to review the first one only, because after all, this is still a very good movie. Still, probably many people think that this is the best Disney Christmas movie of all time, which I think, in my opinion, most people would say yes, but of course it's not my all-time favorite Disney Christmas movie, because I still like Beauty and the Beast: The Enchanted Christmas better, which I reviewed in the previous episode, but still, this movie is still very good. The Santa Claus, still fantastic movie. I'll give this a perfect 10. Even though it's been, but yeah, I'll give it a perfect 10 because it's still such a great film. So that's my review of The Santa Claus, and there you go. Well, that wraps it up for episode 16 of Martin Talks. I hope you all enjoyed it, and for my next episode of Martin Talks, I'm going to review a Christmas movie that I don't have on VHS nor DVD, but I have seen that Christmas movie before, because for my next episode of Martin Talks, I'll be reviewing the extremely funny 1989 Christmas comedy classic, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. But until then, I'll see you later. In fact, because I will be back tomorrow, in which I'll have a retrospective video on a very famous game show host. But until then, goodbye for now.